Peel, peel, peel bananas, peel, 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 peel bananas, smash, smash, smash bananas. We'd all be like jumping into each other. And then the last one was what? Smash, 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 smash. Eat bananas, eat.
Welcome to Words of Whiskey. I'm your host, Aaron, and today I have a couple guests. I have Emily and Scarlett. So Emily and Scarlett they grew up close to each other in the Highlands. So what area was it in Utah?
The town is called Cedar Hills.
Cedar, 98% Mormon. Probably still is.
Well, the high
close.
school. Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Probably.
I haven't looked it up.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, high school
but just the idea, it's pretty populated.
Yes, very.
So they grew up together. They were really good friends together, and since you both have left the church, kind of similar times, from my understanding. And that's a story that's, I guess, unique and different. So I brought them on and thought I would talk to them and hear their story, so to speak. They brought some show and tells. So what about how you guys met?
Okay.
How did we meet?
Well, if I remember correctly from you telling me, like Sarah and Micah.
I saw Sarah and Micah first, her older sister.
Yep.
Okay.
And her older sister's friend. And I guess I just started playing with them.
My
I
house
met
was
you the
here,
second time.
and Scarlett's house was here.
We lived right
so
across
right
the street
on
from
the
each
road.
other.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like two
Yep.
houses separate us.
So of course you guys went to the same high school and everything. Did you graduate about the same time as well, or?
We were in the same graduating class, but because she is technically like almost 6 months older than me, she was sometimes in like YMAs before I was, so like we did
That
level
makes
that
sense.
way.
Oh, not high school class, but young women's class.
Yeah, we were in the same high school class. We graduated
Yeah.
the exact same year,
Uh-huh.
together, walked together.
That
But
makes
yeah,
sense.
so I was born in 88 and she's born in 89.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was
You say my mates, and so you guys were in the same ward then as well.
Not at first.
Not at first?
No, yeah, not at first. Then they switched the boundaries, so I was actually in a different state because
wow. You were
her
across the
street. Yeah, but like
Utah, there you go.
Yeah. So then they moved that boundary. Yep.
High school, and
We went to college together.
and college.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about some of your, I guess, experiences in Young Women's together. I'm sure you guys probably have quite a few different stories.
Well, we were both in presidencies in every
Of
age group.
Yeah, you gotta be the best, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did all the sports together. We did the young men's basketball when we could, and the volleyball and all that.
We had
That's
some
fun.
fun cheers. The banana.
Oh my gosh,
Go,
yeah.
go, 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 bananas. We were known in the stake for this cheer.
Oh, really?
We were just so involved. And it was
Okay.
just fun.
Well, you guys gotta do it then, of course.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
no!
No,
I don't know if
I'm
we
putting you on
can
the
do it.
spot.
It's like, go, 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 bananas.
Well, there's
go,
10 motions that go with it.
Go, bananas. Peel, 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 peel bananas. Peel, 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 peel bananas. Smash, smash, smash bananas. We'd all be like jumping into each other. And then the last one was what? Smash, 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 smash. Eat bananas. Eat
See, you're remembering
bananas.
something. And then I think
And it's just like a woo, you know.
it had nothing to do with our team.
That's-
It was just fun. It was a way to loosen up.
Yeah.
I think we do it before the
That
game.
is a super Mormon cheer.
Definitely. Oh
Super
yeah.
Mormon
And then at
song.
girls' camp.
Girls'
we
camp,
did all
yeah.
those, yeah.
So you guys went to multiple girls' camps together.
Oh, yeah.
assuming.
Every girls' camp.
Yeah, so the first picture,
You-
so that, yeah, we were in the same tent together, luckily. I think there was certain ways to organize it, but I think you got to put a request, like, I would like to be with Scarlett, and then your leader still picked.
Yeah.
But somehow we did get our friends in our tent, and my older sister was our tent mom.
Yeah.
She was a little rebel at the time. And,
Mom.
you know, we did things, I forget about this until you're actually reminiscing, but like we would have a project every year. We'd make like a pillowcase or something to like be unified. We had this like memento. There was always the t-shirt from girls' camp and all that.
I still have mine. Actually, I think I recently got rid of them. I took a
And
picture though.
to earn the money to make the pillowcases, we all went and did chores in the ward.
Oh yeah, I remember doing those types of things.
Washing windows.
Yeah, we'd always do car washes or. So you guys went through the Young Women's and everything together, and eventually you guys both got married. And when you got married, did you separate, or did you guys still stay pretty good friends?
So I think once we got to college, and we were pretty close for the first couple years. Well, kind of. We'd carpool back and forth home like most weekends.
Mhm.
But you lived off campus and I lived off
So where did you guys
campus.
go to college?
Utah State.
You just say, okay,
So up in Logan.
up in Logan.
So yeah, I lived off campus. And
But
then
right below campus, so it was really easy for me to get to her.
basically we'd catch up with each other every weekend that we were driving home to visit family and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's,
So it was really cool.
that's more than most friendships.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, super neat.
Yeah.
And then I'd say,
But then you got married and you still were at Utah State.
yeah, I got married, so. And then probably once I moved to Texas is when, well, you went
That's
on
when
your
I went on my
mission.
mission.
She went on her mission, and I wrote her most weeks, I would say, probably.
You did pretty good, and she'd send pictures, and
Yeah.
so she was great. She kept in good contact.
But then once you got back from your mission, because I'm in Texas and she's in Utah, I think we kind of fell off for
We did have a few years.
several years.
And that's when I got married.
Right.
Yeah.
I came back from my mission. I lived in California for a year, and part of my story. Would you want me to just go into my story?
Go for it.
So my mission is actually my first like shelf break kind of. It's like when I started waking up because there's so many rules, as you know, having served a
Tons of
mission.
rules.
And I luckily had a really good mission president, and he taught the language of love on top of all the other things. Like he was like, love is like the #1 motivator. And that's something that's really important to me and always has been. But I woke up to the realization of how can I love somebody and keep a rule at the same time. And ways that would come into play. I didn't have any real experiences there on my mission, but that was when the thought first came. And even an elder shared the same idea, and his real life application was that elders, if they came upon a woman in distress, could not pick her up and take her to another location. That would be breaking a rule.
So I would have still done that.
And you should, right? But it's a rule.
Yeah. It's
So-
yeah, because you can't be
Alone.
alone with,
Right.
with the opposite
Right.
sex. Yeah.
So then when I was home and an adult on my own really for the first time, because I hadn't really been, like, you know, you go from family to mission, but then I'm an adult alone, making my own decisions, I suddenly realized other things applied, like, my parents were uber strict though, so like maybe this shows that.
So how long was that on your shelf then?
For a bit, because that was in California, and that's then I went back to Utah State to finish my degree and met my husband in Logan. But when we were together, we worked as servers at Texas Roadhouse, and we chose to work Sundays. And our work gave us a hard time about it,
Yeah, that would be.
but it was a choice we made, and it kind of got easier. You know, like what was it they teach in church? Like if you start the slippery slope, if you start rolling, like it's just going to keep going.
Little by little.
But I paid my tithing
Or you just
religiously.
wake up step by step and
Yeah.
realize, wow. That's
No, yeah, exactly. The
Further
blankets come away.
distanced from the indoctrination.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what was your first shelf item, so to speak?
So when I went to the temple, I was like, where does all this come from? I've read the scriptures very in depth, a couple times.
Yeah.
Bible, Book of Mormon. This is nowhere
That's
in the
nowhere in
scriptures.
it. That's for sure.
And so that was one of my first questions, and then I was just hurt by the temple in general because I was not expecting to covenant to my husband. And then
Well,
I
not
was
just
like,
that, is when you actually get married, you can't even look at each other. It's like you're
You're not-
wearing these
yeah.
weird things. You're thinking of all these beautiful, dresses and stuff.
Expectation versus reality.
Yeah, expectation is way different.
the things they tell you growing up in young women's and to look forward to, and it's the best experience, it's the pinnacle of your membership, and then you do it and it's like, what in the world? I don't think I felt creeped out necessarily, but I was just like,
Oh, I did.
this is not in the scriptures.
I felt creeped
And
out.
I thought we're supposed to do everything according to the scriptures. So I wouldn't call that like a shelf crack, but more like my eyes were opening, that it was just very different from what I'd been raised
Yeah.
to believe. I'd say my first shelf crack was, I had a friend who left the church, and she shared something on Facebook that was just like, I'm shocked to learn this, and I'm hurt. It had to do with the temple and priesthood ban.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I'm super strong in my testimony. Nothing's going to shake it. I'm going to see what she's talking about.
Yeah.
I feel like most Mormons don't do that. They just shy away.
No, it's very shy away. Anything
Yeah.
that makes them uncomfortable, they're going to not look into.
Yeah. So this was probably 2010, I think.
Oh, wow.
And it was, and so anyway, so I read it, and it had sources to back everything up. And I could not believe, because what we'd been told about, we'd just been told it was, so we've been taught that it was just a priesthood ban for the men. And I learned it was also a temple ban, and then I'm like, and then reading all these things that the prophets had said, and it was just more of a systemic thing than I'd realized. And I was just like, I was a person who was constantly like, I focused more on Christ than I think I did on like conference talks or prophets as much. And
As
so,
you should.
right,
Yeah, as you
right. And so I was just like, you know, if God runs this church, if prophets actually talk to God, this would never have been a thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the whole, you know, during the 60s and everything, when all of the different race plays were going in front.
Well, exactly.
You think someone from God or someone actually
We should be leading the way
Exactly.
in civil rights,
Mm-hmm.
not lagging 14 whatever years behind.
Well,
the
and
civil
the
rights
only reason
movement.
why they switched is because they were going to lose their...
Yes, exactly, and that was the other thing that I had learned. That
There
was
was a
just,
tax-exempt status where they were going to lose it if they were to continue to keep their stance.
and I think
Oh,
colleges,
so everything's motivated by money? What?
Oh, yeah.
money is the root of all evil.
So
right?
when did you guys both officially...
So I went first officially. So
Okay.
the reason I left was I had done everything right, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I had created temple covenants by marrying somebody in the temple, had even settled in a way to get there and to, you know, have sex. That's the real motivation to get married, to just finally have sex.
Yeah, you were young, horny kids,
Yeah.
you know?
And I had been the perfect wife, in my opinion. But he ended up to be a narcissist, and
Oh, that's not common at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. That's sarcastic.
So the marriage ended after, and we did the speedy Mormon thing. We met in June, we were engaged in October, and married in December.
Yeah.
And then I left him a year and 3 months after, so March of 2016. And when I left him, I was like, I know that I will never again marry somebody without having lived with them, so I guess I'm out. Like, I'm done for now. Like, it was like we'll see how that goes. So I moved in with my mom, and I started living a different life and started experimenting and dating people and drinking and I did. Right. And I did.
So
That's my dad.
you left in 2016?
Mm-hmm.
And how much longer?
Probably about a year and a half, I think. End of 2017.
Okay.
So let me think. So because everything like kind of goes in stages, right? So 2015 with the policy of exclusion, that's when, prior to that, I was like, well, I don't believe the church is true necessarily, or I don't believe in continuing revelation, but I still feel like it's the best church out there.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
what
feel
kept
like,
me for
yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
And the old men, like, they do their best. They do their best, what they think is in the best interest of everyone else. But once that happened, and like, you can't really get around what they were trying to do with that, really.
Yeah.
And that's when I was first like, the church isn't good.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that they were good prior, though not true. That's when I was first like, it's not good.
Yeah, when you step
You know.
away and try to dissect what's good and what's bad, and see the actual trauma of a lot of people that actually have stepped away, and you're like, wait a minute, and you try to reconfigure your entire world.
Yeah. I was like, the church is just trying to like rid itself of anyone connected to like LGBT community, you know?
Yeah.
And so, but it wasn't until 2017, and I just started to do women's roles were really getting on my nerves because I lived in San Antonio, and since I had moved to San Antonio, I started holding young women's callings in the presidency, and then I was first counselor, and then I would start going to like the ward, the council in the mornings.
Yeah,
the ward
it's
council.
ward council. It's called
Yeah,
ward council.
yeah. And it was just, and then my husband was the stake men, or the men's president in the ward, and so I was privy to a lot of that stuff, and then I was privy to the budgets, and then I was just seeing the disparity. And I thought I would just rattle my bones more and more. But honestly, it wasn't until I learned it took learning about the Book of Abraham
That was my final.
for me to be like,
Yeah, but that's what stopped me. So, now that we're all out of the church, you mentioned you enjoy a drink from here too. So I brought out 3 different whiskeys. Now, talking with them before, sounds like you've drank a lot more bourbon.
okay,
And
yeah,
get more-
I haven't had any Scotch before.
So this is her first taste of Scotch.
Yes, we'll see how it is.
Yeah, I'm very interested.
So I've got 3 different styles of Scotch. So this is a Highland, it's a Tomatin 12. It's actually one of my favorites. And then we have the Macallan, which is a really popular, higher, they say it's very well-known name. I still think it's fantastic. People say it's overrated.
Comes in a fancy
I love
box.
it. It does come in a fancy box. And then we have the nice, smoky Isla Scotch on one of the islands. So I'm going to pour each of these. I'm going to pour just a splash of each of them. Now, Scotch is made from 100% barley. Same as Irish, but Irish is a little bit different that they don't malt all their barley, where Scotland they do. And the different flavors is how they malt it, or where they get their barley, or how they finish things in.
Can smell it.
Yeah, so I'm going to pour a little bit of each, and then what I usually do is take a smell of each of them first. See what different notes you can pick up, and then taste them. And I would say I would almost be done with your first two before you drink this one, because when you drink this one, you're not going to be able to. Kind of overpowers the palate. So I would wait to drink this one last.
Okay.
That's kind of why it's the third. So let's
And
pick
it's
it
like
up.
the clearest.
It is. Smell the first one and the second one.
I did, yeah. The man who introduced me to Macallan, yeah, I think he drank it straight, but he also would mix it with water and the Mio, a strawberry Mio.
Really?
Yeah.
It's ruining it.
That's how I was introduced to it.
And the smell, the last one's like you can almost smell the smoke, the peat.
Yep.
Smell that.
That's way different.
Whoa, yes.
It's different.
Yep.
Some people, a lot of people, it's not the right thing. I also have some water there, so after you taste some, you can kind of cleanse your palate a little bit.
Wow, super
Okay.
creepy.
I like to kind of take a little swig of water first because.
It's like I'm having I smell a brisket cooking something.
Yeah, and that's what's really good with that one barbecue. So.
Sriracha. Is that
Okay,
in
a
it?
small little section in the Highlands. So. So what's your impression? Because I know what flavors
I'm recognizing the similarities between this and bourbon. Like it doesn't taste that much different to bourbon to me, I guess.
Okay, I think
bourbon might be stronger.
This tastes like just
bourbon
A little bit
has.
harder to.
Go to the next one.
Okay.
Colin.
So what were you saying about the bourbon again? Is the bourbon sweeter or this one's sweeter? You were saying
I think the
this one's a little
bourbon's
more
sweeter
sophisticated.
with it being the corn. This one, it's hard to say. This one has a little bit more earth. Scotch has a little bit more earthy notes to it.
This might sound weird, but I burped a little bit and now I can taste the apple that it's talking about.
No, it does. You get
Like, couldn't until then.
with this one, you get the apple, a little bit of berries, and you get a little honey, and you definitely you get a lot of sherry. You taste that. That's probably the most predominant flavor in the.
Well, when I was sniffing it at the beginning, I could kind of smell more apple. I hadn't tasted it as much as I could smell it.
So this one
But
is,
that might be the power of suggestion right there.
it could be. Now this one is a little, I think this one has more sherry than this one.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I looked closer at the bottle.
This one have a little bit of a similar.
I like this one better.
This one has a little bit more berries, a little bit more sherry than say the Tomatin. Tomatin has a little bit more. Picks up more from the bourbon barrels, I think. That's just my thought.
I need to learn how to describe
What you're
alcohols
tasting,
better.
yeah.
The nose.
The notes, yeah.
The
Now for the smoke, the peat.
bringing little pops.
It smells like.
See, the first time I ever smelled it, I was like, oh my god. And now it's like, it's kind of nice. It's pleasant. It's different.
It smells like a specific wood to me.
Yeah.
Like I
Is
have.
it peat, like you're saying?
Do you know what peat is?
Peat moss?
So in Scotland or in Ireland, they have that bog that just is kind of just swamp and everything.
Yeah.
And it gets layered upon layered upon layered. They cut that out, they dry it, and then in order to activate the barley to malt it, they will burn peat underneath it. And
So it's
the
like a fire
barley,
starter?
yeah, the barley just absorbs the flavor. It absorbs all that smoke,
Okay.
and that's what you're picking up. And it's crazy that it smells so strong and it's so light.
Mm-hmm. I know, I was almost expecting like a brown liquid or a black liquid to come.
Yeah.
Smoky intensity.
Yeah, so,
Okay, here we go.
okay, sip it. I want to see.
Schma, where's
Schlanja.
Schlanja?
Schlanja.
There you go.
Schlanja. Mhm.
It's like sweet smoky.
Yeah,
Smoke sitting in my mouth.
not nearly as potent as the smell.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
that's true.
That's
It's
good.
actually sweeter than you expect.
Yeah.
I still pick up the berries and raisin a little bit and fig, but then at the end you pick up the kind of briny shrimp, like sea salt and smoke.
Island.
Thankfully, I can't taste the shrimp because I don't really like shrimp.
I couldn't remember when I offered you that shrimp fried rice. I was like, does she like seafood?
I like fish, not like the slimy stuff.
Shellfish.
So is it pleasant or is it like a little bit too much?
I don't know yet.
We'll see. I mean, it was surprisingly, I was expecting it to be much stronger, so.
It's smooth.
It is. It's surprisingly smooth for what it is. It's like it doesn't have the alcoholic burn at the end like
Right,
a lot
that
of others.
this one did. That had
Yeah.
that burn for me.
Well, because it's also the first one I tried.
That's true.
If you
too.
would've- if
That
you
is-
would've-
That's true.
If you would have
We're
swapped
not
it up, it's like if you would have tried that one first and the Colin first, you'd think that was the birdie one.
That's okay. Good
So-
point. Good point.
That's a lot of times, we always say that if you're doing one of the higher end or one of the ones you haven't tried it before, try something similar that you've had first to kind of cleanse that burniness, so it doesn't have that shocking
So that's
sound.
what you're not focusing on.
Yeah, so then you try the one you really want to explore second.
More elegant,
Yeah.
Yeah,
What do
this
you
is
think?
interesting.
Interesting?
Yeah. It's these, I
So-
don't know if I'm like more used to stronger like liquors because I've been trying bourbon more
Well,
the
bourbon's a
last few months.
strong flavor. It is a strong flavor. So.
Okay, see, the first time I had bourbon, it seemed stronger, but for me it's hard to tell, like, am I just more used to drinking these types of liquors, or they aren't as strong
No, yeah.
of a flavor.
That was Words of Whiskey, so thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, send me any messages for any feedback, I would love that. Thank you guys for joining
Thank
me.
you for having us.
Yeah, and I hope you guys enjoyed.
Yes.
And
This is fun.
In case anyone wants to follow our Instagram that we like,
Yeah,
Don't post
we're
it
up
very
there.
send me,
We wanna
and
know
I
about
will
that.
link your guys' Instagram.
we
with
are
my
the
channel.
Margarita Mormons.
Margarita Mormons?
Yes.
We should have had margaritas then.
That's okay.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, we did our first.
We haven't had a margarita yet in any of the ones that we've recorded.
But
Well, then you
it's
got-
the alliteration.
Okay, you gotta re-record it and call that your first one and have margarita.
That's true. We could.
Okay.
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
So that was Words of Whiskey. Thanks guys for joining.